Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get us started. I do know that our Zoom details, I believe, we're together until 4. So I want to make sure we have enough time to get through everything. We have a couple who are joining us now. Welcome to everyone. If you're just joining us, if you could drop your name in the chat, that would be very helpful. We were just about to get started. Can everyone see the PowerPoint slide okay? Excellent. And audio is okay? We're good? Okay. Perfect. So then let's get started. Thank you all for being here with me tonight. It's a pleasure to have you. My name is Dr. Annette Juan Hernandez, and I am the Academic Program Director for the Elementary and Secondary Teacher Preparation Programs for the Traditional Pathway. And I'll talk a little bit about what that is in a second. But last week I did celebrate my 15th year here at LMU, which is very exciting. And in all, I have built a career in education for about 20 years or so. And I can honestly say, as a proud alumna of LMU, not once but twice, that LMU and the School of Education really helped me be the teacher that I wanted to be and the educational professional that I have become. So I can truly say that they have helped me be the change. So today, in addition to formally welcoming you, I'm going to share a little bit about the School of Education, the values and ideas that inform our work with aspiring teachers, how teachers are prepared within the program, as well as the application process. At the end of the presentation, there will be time for you to ask any questions that you might have. Feel free to drop questions in the chat as they come up. I will address them either as we go, depending on the question, or I can address them once I'm done at the end, or feel free to hold on to them, up to you. And I will also share our contact information so that if you do have questions come up after we've left our session, you do know how to reach both myself as well as our admissions office. But before we really get going, one quick point of clarification regarding the traditional pathway is I want to make sure that everyone is in the correct session. So when we refer to the traditional pathway, that is for students who engage in a variety of clinical practice and student teaching placements throughout the entirety of the program, of the credential program. You are not, or you would not be a working teacher of record, full-time teacher of record in a classroom while you're simultaneously completing the teacher preparation credential program. So if you're interested in working full-time as a teacher of record while you're completing the program, you will want to attend the intern session or the intern pathway. This is more for the traditional student teacher clinical practice way forward in terms of program structure. So just want to make sure that everyone is clear on that. Any questions on that really specific detail before we get started? I want to make sure everyone is in the right place. Okay, looks like we might be good to go. Okay, then let's get started. So teaching is one of the most important professions. Teachers touch the lives of almost every child in this country. I think I went one too far. I sure did. And so if you're looking for a profession that is meaningful and impactful, teaching could be perfect for you. Teachers introduce students to new worlds, new knowledge, new skills, new possibilities. I'm sure every single one of you can identify a teacher who made an important positive impact on your life. In fact, that might actually be one of the reasons why you're here today. The relationships that teachers build with their students are transformative, but not just for the students, but for their families, their communities, and for teachers themselves. And as a teacher, your profession will always be in demand, no matter what city or town you decide to call your home. In fact, right now we're in the biggest teacher shortage in the state of California. It is a nationwide problem, but currently in California, we're in our largest teacher crisis in our history. And although many of our students do teach in the LA and surrounding districts, we do have some candidates that teach in other states and some that even teach abroad. So it is a very highly employable and portable profession. Teaching also has a built-in career path from teacher to school leader. And for those interested in having an even wider impact, some teacher candidates go on to work district-wide, supporting instruction or providing leadership. Positions that extend beyond the classroom could include assistant principal, counseling, principal, could be a curriculum specialist, a district level director, assistant superintendents, and superintendents. And one of the main reasons our LMU graduates are so highly sought after is because our graduates leave our programs so well prepared. And many of them build a career in the field of education. Through our courses and our fieldwork opportunities, we ensure that our teachers develop the knowledge and the skills necessary to be the change. It looks like, so someone asked, is there an open house for the, yes, there is an open house session for the intern pathway. I believe it's in the next session that starts at 4 o'clock. We didn't run them simultaneously for that reason. So if someone was interested, you could do both. So the intern session will come next. Good question. All right, so how do we do all of this? We do all of this work in alignment with our conceptual framework known as REAL. So in our efforts to develop real educators for real change, we develop teachers who respect and value all individuals and the unique perspectives and contributions they offer, who educate by integrating theory and practice so that we know not just what to do, but why we do what we do, who advocate for access to a rich, culturally relevant, equitable, and socially just educational resources, experiences, and outcomes, and who lead in order to facilitate transformation. So in LMU's School of Education, we prepare real teachers who will make real changes for their students. Every single program, class, and experience is designed with these principles in mind, and it is our hope that you will infuse them into your professional practice with students, schools, and communities. Real change starts here in the School of Education as we seek to create the kind of world that we want to live in. As someone who has experienced both sides of LMU as a student as well as a colleague, I can genuinely say that LMU really is a special place. The School of Education has expert faculty dedicated to the success of their students, our students, and through small class sizes, we are able to establish relationships with our students. You can also engage with faculty through research projects, teaching assistantships, as well as graduate assistantships. And our program prepares you for a career in teaching, which we talked about a little bit before. While the average turnover of teachers leaving the profession is 2 years, our School of Education graduates remain in the classroom and often pursue additional merits. We attribute these graduates' longevity in the classroom and school sites to the program curriculum, early field experiences that bridge theory and practice, as well as the fact that you are well prepared with the knowledge and skills to truly be effective in the classroom. For some educators like myself, we do explore opportunities to help a greater reach of students. And while we do, like I mentioned, have graduates who become lifelong teachers, others have pursued other paths. We have a number of graduates currently serving in superintendencies, not only locally, but across the country as well. LMU really is the place to be. In the School of Education, we are very proud of our rankings. All of us in the School of Education, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and our community partners all contribute to these achievements. I've highlighted a few of them here. We were the first school of education in California to receive national accreditation via CATE. We are we are the third highest Jesuit school of education across the nation. We are the third highest private school of education in California. We are among the top 10 of all schools of education in California, and we are currently ranked 64th, or in the top 5% of all schools of education in the country. And you might be wondering why we're so excited or why these rankings matter. There are close to 5,300 colleges and universities in the United States. 1,200 of those have a school or college of education that offers a teacher preparation program. That is a lot of teacher preparation programs, and it is really important to be able to distinguish among those which offer some of the best opportunities for high quality preparation. And the LMU School of Education, we are just about over 50 years old. And in that amount of time, we have demonstrated that we have what it takes and that we know our craft. So how does teacher preparation work at LMU? Let's take a closer look. One really important distinction to make is the difference between who issues your degree, so who will issue your master's degree, and who will issue your credential. LMU as an institution will be who issues your degree. So you will earn your Master of Arts degree from LMU. The California Commission on Teacher Credentialing will be who issues your credential. So we as a school of education are authorized as a recommender to the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, also known as the CTC, which means that the CTC has given our school of education the all clear to ensure that you have each completed all of the program and credential requirements. And once we have verified that you do, we submit a recommendation on your behalf to the CTC, and they will be the ones who officially issue your credential. Some highlights of the program. It is a combined Master of Arts and Credential program. You would be earning a California SB 2042 preliminary multiple subject or single subject credential. Multiple subject is for candidates who want to teach at the elementary level, and single subject are for candidates who want to teach at the middle school or high school level, which is grades 6 through 12. And elementary, is grades K through 5. And this would authorize you to teach in a California public school. If you do speak Spanish or Mandarin, you would have the option of adding the bilingual authorization to either your preliminary multiple or single subject credential. And the bilingual authorization helps you teach in the native language so that you can bolster academic development by using the home language. And also, as I mentioned, we are fully accredited both by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing as well as nationally by the Council for Accreditation of Educator Preparation. And we were the first in California to get that, as I noted in the prior slide. So a bit more specific about the program. So we are in the midst of a curricular redesign in an effort to try and align some of the coursework across the two pathways we have. So what I'm about to share with you is pending approval. It will be going up this fall. And if this is approved, which we anticipate that it will be, it will launch in summer of 2022. Which will be our next admissions cycle. So if all is approved, the program will have two options on this traditional pathway. For candidates who already have their subject matter met, meaning that you have either completed the CSET exam, which is a requirement for everyone earning the credential in the content area that you plan to teach, or if you have completed a major that was recently approved by the CTC that you can now use a major, an undergraduate major that you have accomplished to satisfy the subject matter requirement. So either you have the CSET done or you have an undergraduate major that is approved. You can begin the program in the summer. And it is a 1 year, you complete the credential coursework. And then in year 2, you would complete the Master of Arts coursework. Because you have that subject matter already met, you can start your clinical practice immediately in the fall semester. For those of you who don't quite have subject matter complete yet, that is perfectly fine. We find that a lot of our candidates, sometimes if they don't have that undergraduate major, which was recently approved this past summer, they will need some time to take the CSET and get that passed. And most candidates take the first year in the program to do that. So if you don't have your subject matter met yet, then you would do the combined 2-year program of study, where in your first year, you will take some credential coursework as well as master's coursework. And then in year 2, you complete the credential coursework as well as the culminating Master of Arts coursework as well. So the 1-year credential plus the 1-year MA is for those who have subject matter already met upon admission. Also a 2-year program. It's just a matter of which order you take the coursework sequence. Total program units for the elementary candidates, it will be 35 units. Those are 23 units dedicated to the credential, 12 units dedicated to the master's degree. And at the secondary level, it is a 32-unit program, 20 units devoted to the credential, 12 units devoted for the MA. The one difference, the 3-unit differential for elementary to secondary, is at the elementary level, we have a dedicated literacy course due to the level of academic phonics, literacy, and all the varying things that goes into helping all the little ones learn how to read. There's a lot more standards related to that. So you have a separate literacy course that the secondary candidates do not have. Secondary candidates have their literacy content blended with their content methods. And then lastly, there are 600 hours of clinical practice required. The commission does require that all students complete 600 hours. And you will get that done by doing 2 student teaching placements across the span of 2 semesters. Your program will have a dedicated academic advisor who will work with you along the entire process from beginning to end. They let you know what courses to take, when to take them, when certain requirements are due, when you should start, for example, getting your CSET tests done if you have not yet accomplished that when you join us. So they will help you through that. The program is designed for full-time working professionals. So you will have classes in the evening from Monday through Thursday. In the fall and spring, classes meet 1 night a week. And over the summer terms, we have 2 separate summer terms, each over 8 weeks. So since it's basically a semester cut in half, the classes meet twice a week instead of once a week. So over the summer, in essence, you could do 2 full semesters of coursework over 2 8-week spans of time. And here you have the varying content level areas that you could pursue as a result of your credential. So if you're an elementary candidate, you would take that first multiple subjects option. As an elementary teacher, you teach all the subjects. So you would need to take and pass the CSET in multiple subjects. If you were an undergraduate liberal studies major, your liberal studies major satisfies the multiple subjects subject matter. So you would not have to take the CSET because your major satisfies that requirement. For secondary candidates, these are the varying content areas in which we are approved to authorize and recommend a credential. So hopefully you see a content area there that you are passionate about and interested in teaching. And this would be at the middle school or high school level. So we have talked about the age group that you would want to teach, elementary, secondary. We've also talked about the content area of expertise that you would have, but how does this all come together in a classroom? So the expert faculty that we have in the School of Education is going to engage you with rigorous curriculum that is rooted in theory, as well as enriching dialogue that is going to both challenge your current constructs, as well as push you to grow and truly understand what it means to be a change agent in a 21st century K-12 classroom. As I noted in our conceptual framework, we develop educators who educate by integrating theory and practice. So the practice part is deeply rooted in our fieldwork and clinical experiences that are going to provide you with those opportunities to truly implement the theories and the pedagogies that you are learning and discussing in class. You will be assigned to partner K-12 schools for hands-on engagement with mentor teachers and their students. These on-site experiences will begin early on in your credential program. And our student success is of the utmost importance to us, and it's one of our top priorities. So as I noted, we have a team of advisors that are dedicated to you and support you along the way. We also have clinical practice coordinators that ensure that our students are placed in really diverse settings. And we have fieldwork instructors who support you in the field, and they mentor you while you're completing your clinical practice. In all, we have a very strong circle of support to ensure that you have what you need to be successful. And now that you have heard more about the program and hopefully you're all ready to apply, let's talk about what the application process looks like. So if you are ready with your subject matter requirement already in hand, so either you have taken and passed the CSET or you have an undergraduate major in the discipline that you plan to teach, you can begin the program in the summer term, and you will need to have your application submitted by our March 15th deadline. If you don't quite have the subject matter ready, and again, that is totally okay, it'll take you some more time to get it done, but you will start the program in the fall term. So for those of you starting in a fall term, your application needs to be submitted by the June 15th deadline. These are our stated deadlines. I will say if for some reason you're having a difficult time getting a letter of recommendation or something is on its way to us, but it's not quite going to make it by that deadline, just let us know and we will work with you. Again, we're here to support you and help you along the way. But hopefully everyone is able to plan ahead and have everything submitted by these stated deadlines. Admission requirements. So all of our applications are done online via Slate. So you'll want to access that and select the traditional pathway for either elementary or secondary education. There will be a $50 application fee, 3 letters of recommendation that you will submit, and you will basically provide us 3 names of individuals that you would want to write a letter of recommendation for you. They will automatically be notified and submit to the system directly. You will have a statement of intent that's about 3 to 5 pages long, and we will provide you a prompt for that. You will also need to upload a current resume, a technology self-verification form, as well as a signed information sheet. You will need to have proof of having satisfied the California Basic Skills requirement. And there are multiple ways to do that. You can satisfy that through undergraduate coursework that you've already taken, qualifying SAT or ACT score, or you can take the CBEST as well. So there are multiple ways in which you can satisfy that. Either our admissions counselor and or your advisor will be able to help you navigate which of those methods you may be able to use to satisfy that requirement. Your subject matter competency requirement, again, you could satisfy this by the undergraduate degree, whatever your major was. If you participated in a subject matter waiver program at your institution, we would just need a letter verifying that you completed that waiver program, or you would take and pass the CSET. And again, you would have this either at the onset at admissions, or you can complete this in your first year in the program. So there's no pressure to have this done when you apply. You will need a TB test within the last 12 months. We will help you navigate the certificate of clearance, and that is your fingerprinting. So all our partner schools would like to know that you have had your fingerprints done and that everything is all clear before you're in a classroom. There is a US Constitution requirement plan. You just let us know when you might complete the US Constitution requirement. And there's different ways to do that as well, but not something you need at admission. You can do that throughout the program. And then you'll submit a verification of having at least 20 hours of experience working with the age group that you hope to teach. You will also submit official transcripts to the university. You can either do that via hard copy, and the address that you need to send that is there, or you can submit it electronically at graduateadmission@lmu.edu. And one quick note I point out to everyone is notice that it is graduate admission, no S at the end of that. I know sometimes we're really tempted to put the S, but for your transcripts, the email address does not have the S. So just to make note of that. So we can take it. Yes, you can take the CSET and pass the CSET while you're in the program. Absolutely. And we can talk about that more when we get to the questions part of our session. We're almost done. Or I'm almost done talking. I'm going to turn it over to you. So here's a little bit about the admission process. You will apply via Slate by the March or June 15th deadline. Once your application is complete, our SOE admissions team processes your application, make sure everything is there. Once everything is there, then they submit it to the department for review, and you will sit down for an interview with the director, which would be me. Then once we meet, I make my decision on my end as the academic program director. It then moves on to the next step in the process, which is the department chair and the associate dean will also review and make their recommendation. All is said and done, you're admitted. We then connect you to your academic advisor who will sit down with you and map out your curriculum over the course of the time that you're in the program. Here is my contact information, as well as the School of Ed admissions office. So here they do have the S at the end of admissions because this is our School of Ed office. The slide prior is actually the graduate, LMU graduate division office. So our admissions office does have the S at the end of their email. I know that sometimes there's a lot of information coming at you right now. You take some time to reflect and some questions come up. So please feel free to email either myself if it's program specific. If it's something related to the admission process, then please direct your questions to the admissions office. If you haven't connected with them yet, I would highly advise you to do so. We do have an information packet about the program with a lot of frequently asked questions, which will address a lot of the different questions and things we've talked about today, and even some additional ones in terms of requirements, all requirements that you would need for the credential. So that is the contact slide. All right, time for questions. So let me stop sharing. Bring this back. Here we go. Any questions for me? We have about 15 minutes.
Do we type them in the chat or can we just voice them?
Feel free to voice them.
Okay, all right.
There's enough of us here.
The CSET,
Yes.
I'm so confused about this part. I'm looking to get the multiple subject credential. CSET test, aren't there subdivisions of that test?
Great question. So for elementary candidates, you will be taking the multiple subjects CSET, and that has 3 subtests that you have to take and pass. You do not have to take them all in one sitting. You can spread them out and take them one at a time.
Okay. And would we be able to do that ahead of time before we applied, just to get one thing out of the way?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
It is not a requirement for admission to the program. So the nuance in between kind of which group you would work with, if you have the CSET ready to go upon your application, then you can get your clinical practice started immediately. which is
Got it.
why you would start the program in summer, and then we're going to put you in a classroom right in the fall to get started, because you need the CSET to be in the classroom in a
Okay.
full capacity.
Got
So
it.
you can definitely try tackle that and have it done before the program gets started,
Mhm.
but it is not a requirement to apply.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Does
Thank
that
you.
help? No problem.
Yes. And then also, is there any for the master's part of the program, is there any kind of thesis or capstone project or something like that?
There will be a capstone project. Yes, there's a
Okay.
capstone course where you would engage in some research
Mm-hmm.
to get that done. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Great question.
All right.
But
Thank
Cassandra,
you.
just so you know, no pressure on getting the CSET done. If
Yeah.
you start it, for example, and you have, let's say, 2 out of the 3 completed, you
Mm-hmm.
can still apply. You can take that first year to finish that 3rd subtest that you have to take. And then you'll be right on track and where you need to be for that year 2 student teaching semester.
When does okay. So if I don't have the CSET ready, um, I start in fall
You would start in
with, am I placed the clinical practice? When does that start in that option?
Great question. So for that option, you would start Credential master's coursework in the fall. We have everyone starts with their first semester is about 2 or 3 days at a school site that we place you. So whether you start immediately in the summer or you start in the fall, the summer starters will do their 2 or 3 day a week in the fall, and then they do a 5 day a week full semester of student teaching in that spring of year 1. If you are a fall starter, your fall coursework will be what it is. You start that 2 to 3 day clinical practice in the spring semester of year 1, and then you do your full 5 day a week student teaching in the fall or spring of the following year.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does that help?
Kind of. Are we going to get the PowerPoint slides that you posted, or that you showed us, or?
I can share them. So if you wanted to shoot me an email,
Okay, I
we
will. Yes. Okay.
are also recording the session. So if
Oh, okay.
you would like to get a copy of the recording, I believe graduate division will be sharing that as well, as long as you
Okay.
ask for it.
All right, great.
But
And
happy to share. And
and
once everything is approved,
yes.
we're able to actually put it in writing
Oh, I
and
see.
give you the documentation about the new program.
Okay.
Technically, it hasn't been formally approved. We can't officially document.
Yeah, you can't publish anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Talk about it and we can tell you what we're planning,
Got it.
but we can't print it yet.
Makes sense. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes, who is it?
Um,
Tracy?
It's Tracy. Um, if you are, or if I'm thinking about doing a single subject, do I still need to take the CSET?
Depends on what your undergraduate major was. So for example, if you are looking to teach in math, like you want to become a secondary math teacher, and your undergraduate major was in mathematics, you do not have to take and pass the CSET. It's if your major is in a discipline that does not align with the CSET, that you would then have to take the CSET. Does that help answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So I have, yes.
How about the CBEST? Would that be a requirement for admission?
The CBEST is a requirement for admission. What I can say is what I have done for students in the past is if for whatever reason, especially now due to COVID, I do know things are getting better, but I would hate to think things would take a turn, but in case they ever did, and testing sites were to have to shut down or they'd have to limit their appointments, I have admitted students in the past with an admission ticket or an admission receipt to take the CBEST, meaning you're committed to a date. I have admitted students in the past with at least that in hand, because I know it can be challenging right now to get an appointment.
Okay, how about GPA?
Oh, you're breaking up. I couldn't hear your question. I'm sorry.
Is there a certain GPA or a certain GPA?
Is there a certain that we have a 3.0 minimum? Oh, we lost her. Hopefully she comes back. Is there an application fee waiver for? So there isn't a fee waiver for attending. I do know that grad division does sometimes offer fee waivers. That is something you would want to contact either the School of Ed admissions office and or the graduate division office directly to ask about a potential fee waiver. And Mariana, I was answering your question, I think, as you got dropped on the call. Our minimum admission GPA is a 3.0.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there an option to receive a dual, for example, a biology and world language credentials? Great question. So you would not complete the dual credential in the program simultaneously. We can only recommend you for one. But the good news is it is very easy to add a second authorization to your existing credential. So if you're in the secondary arena, just to keep with your example, let's say through the program, you secure the biology credential through us. We recommend you for biology. You also want the world language credential. What you would need to do at that point is take and pass the world language CSET. And once you have the subject matter requirement met, or let's say you were a double major as an undergrad and you already have a Spanish degree and you want Spanish, then you would apply to the commission to add an authorization in world languages to your existing biology credential. And that is true for any single subject to single subject that you would want to add. So you would earn your first with us, and then you would take and either take and pass the CSET or apply an undergraduate major to satisfy the subject matter requirement. And once you have that done, you would apply directly to CTC to add that to your existing credential. Now, if you wanted to switch, so let's say you have a secondary and you want an elementary, or you have an elementary and you want a secondary, that is also something that can be done after the fact. So to stick with the secondary example, you get a biology credential, and now a year out of your program, you say, you know what, I think I want to work with the little ones. So what you would need to do at that time is you would need to take the multiple subjects CSET or the opposite CSET of what you have already taken. And you would also need to take a methodology course on how to teach that discipline for that age group. So you would need to do those two things if you were going to transition to the opposite age group. And once you do those two things, you would again apply directly to the state for an added authorization to now teach multiple subjects or teach single subject if you're coming from the multiple subject world. So in essence, you just have to satisfy your subject matter, and then you take a methodology course on how to teach that subject for that age group. And the reason for that is because you haven't done that yet. The methodology course you took was to teach either the younger kids for your original credential or the older kids for the original credential. So that's why you have to do both. That's a great question. Does LMU offer we do have a Mandarin, but we have a Mandarin bilingual authorization. If you're wanting to teach Mandarin as a language, I believe that is covered under the World Languages Credential. But if you wanted to teach it as part of a bilingual program, the bilingual authorization we have in Spanish and Mandarin. Perfect. So I have a couple more minutes because I have another session at 4 o'clock. I direct another program in the School of Ed, and I have those students joining me in a couple minutes. So maybe we have time for one more question. Cassandra.
I can ask, yeah. What is the time commitment? You mentioned that the classes are in the evening, Monday through Thursday. But when you're teaching, how much time do I need to make available, I guess?
For sure, great question. Yeah. And to clarify, so our courses are offered Monday through Thursday, but you would only be required on campus for one night a week in particular, or depending on how you arrange your classes. So for example, each class is only offered on one of those nights at one time slot. So you might be here on Mondays at 4:30 for one class and at 7 o'clock for the other class, and you're done for the
Yeah.
week in terms of coursework. Or
Okay.
it could be a Monday, Wednesday combo or a Tuesday, Thursday combo. It just depends on what you're taking and when it's offered.
Okay.
And then as far as during the day, the time commitment would really be impacted once you do your 2 semesters of the clinical practice.
Mhm.
So the first one, as I mentioned, would be either a 2 or a 3-day commitment where you're at a school site with a mentor teacher from the beginning of the day to the end of the day at the school
Mhm.
site. So you would need to be available for that. And then in your final semester, it would be 5 days a week for the duration of the semester. So it's a full semester of student teaching that you would be required to do.
And would you still be going to your class at night once a week at that point or no? Yes. Okay.
Yes, you would.
Okay.
Correct. And one of those classes would be geared towards supporting you while
Mhm.
you are in the field doing those requirements.
Okay. Okay. So it's those last 2 semesters that you have to be available during the daytime, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mariana, which requirements are you referring to?
The ones where it says like the CBEST and all that, the fingerprints and
Oh, the admission requirements?
yes.
Yes, I can share that, but I have one better. I would say if you have not reached out to the School of Ed admissions office,
Mhm.
I would do that and request an information packet for the traditional pathway program. And that has all of the admission requirements listed there for you in hard copy.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And a lot of those requirements are traditional requirements that program, like the current program requires those as well, because they're just requirements that the CTC has. So a lot of that won't change whether or not this current program redesign is approved. That's why that can be in print. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I didn't want to be confusing on that.
No, I got it. Thank you.
Awesome. You're most welcome. Okay, well, I'm going to have to depart as my next session will start soon. But I do thank all of you for being here. I encourage you to email, ask questions. If you would like a one-on-one, I'm happy to meet with you and have a one-on-one to discuss or answer any additional questions. Just feel free to reach out. And again, please also reach out to the School of Education admissions office for any tangible information that can be shared at this moment, which is a lot of the admission requirements. But I look forward to hopefully working with all of you, hopefully as early as possibly summer, if not fall. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take good care.